I can't tell you how many times my meditation, I call them napitations at this point in my journey. Meditation has just been one of those things that comes in and out as I need it for recharging purposes at this point. But I'd love to hear your take on meditation. I've learned a lot from you about different forms of it. The one with Kathy, the one that I learned from you and Kathy was pretty fantastic about being at the bottom of the river.
Ah, yes. Welcome back. I'm your host, Kelle Sparta, transformational shaman, spiritual coach, and I am with Joshua Radewan, who is a spiritual coach specializing in the paranormal. And we are here today talking about meditation. The Is it just a fancy way to take a nap? I always love Joshua. Josh creates all these titles, and you always make me laugh. So
So it's pretty personal to my life for what it's worth. I can't tell you how many times my meditation, I call them napitations at this point in my journey. Meditation has just been one of those things that comes in and out as I need it for recharging purposes at this point. But I'd love to hear your take on meditation. I've learned a lot from you about different forms of it. The one with Kathy, the one that I learned from you and Kathy was pretty fantastic about being at the bottom of the river.
yes. So
That's one of
we're
the
going to
few
talk
that
about that,
works.
but before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and share. This is how you help us help other people, is to help send it out. Please post it to your social media. If you find an episode you really like, please share it with your friends. But also, you had a piece of feedback from one of your students about the sound healing for opening to your gifts that I put out on the podcast of, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a student that was working through some of the later work in the program, some of the stuff it's interesting to look at. Sometimes it's a lot to unravel.
The woo, right?
I'm talking about Welcome to the Woo. As she's getting near the end, what a beautiful process she's been through. Just fantastic. So you know who you are because I know you listen. She was struggling with this certain piece of work, and we'd come to the recognition that she needed to go back to figure it out, but wasn't necessarily able to get there. Listen to the Opening the Gifts podcast. Decided to take a nap, amputation. Woke up and knew exactly where she needed to go. I mean, and I love that opening your gifts. I've listened to it 2 or 3 times, and for what it's worth, Kelly sends me these over, and she's like, "Do you want to listen to this?" I was like, "I don't know if I can right now. Like, I'm in the middle of a lot of stuff. How transformative is it?" So I'm like the test dummy for some of these. And she'll send me an email like 3 days later. Have you tested that yet? I'm like, no. She's like, why? I was like, I'm a little worried. She's like, why? You've always been fine. I was like, I know, but still, I never know with you. Your sound healing is something next level. So that was different. But like, and there's been other people too that have listened to it and just had fantastic results. Just listen to the sound healings. I know, like some of us listen to podcasts and are like, oh, I don't want to hear somebody sing for 20 minutes. Take the time and listen to it. It does things that you don't even understand and that you need.
And for some people, they're like, I listen to podcasts while I'm doing other things, right? It's while I'm driving or while I'm cleaning or when I'm working or whatever. And I get feedback from people like that all the time. I get people are like, I'm a delivery driver and I listen in the car or clean pools. I've had people tell me these things. And you can't do that with the sound healing. You have to be still and silent and in a place where you're not going to be disturbed for 15, 20 minutes. But it's absolutely worth it to do that, right? If you want to have an experience that's going to change you, you do the sound healings, right? If you want to have an education, you listen to the podcasts. So,
Personally, that one and the clearing grief sound healing, just two of the most powerful I've listened to. And there was one that you did. For what it's worth, this is what set me in overdrive a couple years ago. I don't know what it was. Like it's not the express train one, but it was like you buckle up. I can't remember it. I listened to it with Cassie, and then we've been on the express train ever since. I can't remember the name of it now. Probably a good thing. I don't need to listen to it again right now.
I'm not sure which one you're referencing, or I would help
Oh,
you, but yeah,
yeah, can't
there's
remember
a
off
lot
the
of
top of
them.
my head. Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of them.
yeah. And I'm actually about to do some more. So we'll have some more coming out here soon because I'm going to be getting those set up as well and for Friday episodes. But yeah, the sound healings are awesome and take advantage because they're the one of the few things that actually is like having an experience of working with me directly is the sound healings, right? Because you get to I'm working on your energy when I'm doing them, right? So the reason sound healing works is because we are all a vibration, right? All of us have an energy signature that is the vibration that is uniquely ours. And as sound healing works on you, it actually breaks up blocks and it moves energy through and it clears things out. And it's one of the most effective things I've ever found. And I do a lot of energy healing. It's one of the most effective things that I've found to do for work for people. So,
It was after that opening the gifts one when I listened to it that I started to understand why I'm so attracted to the druidic chants, and that's why I do them for other people. Like I will, because I'm breaking up energy, and it connected me to why the rattle is so important too. It's the same thing. It's just breaking up energy and I came into that. I thought it was just the whiskey and cigarettes for most of my 20s, but I came in here breathing fire from long ago.
oh, you're funny. Okay, so we're talking about meditation today. Let's actually have a conversation about meditation. Yay. Okay. The first thing I want to say about meditation is that people are the people say this all the time. They're like, I can't quiet my mind. I can't quiet my mind. I try to meditate and then my brain goes in another direction. And I get it. We're living in an ADD world and there's this constant interruption and doom scrolling on the social media and all the stuff that just trains your brain to constantly want more dopamine input and whatever. But here's the thing, and this you referenced this earlier about the meditation piece. And this is Kathy's thing, right? This is Kathy's trick. She has a brain that just won't turn off. And some people have brains that won't turn off. It's in human design, it's a open center versus a filled center, right? And I have an open center, so my brain will actually turn off. Kathy has a filled center, as do you. And so your brains won't turn off. So what she does is she imagines her thoughts as a river and she just sinks to the bottom of the river, fully able to breathe. Okay, let me just clarify that. And she just watches her thoughts go by. She is detached from them. They're still there, but she just watches them float by. As they come in, she notices them and she lets them float off. And she's, oh, there it is, and it's gone, right? And so that if you've ever heard the bubble technique, sometimes people will give you the idea to put your thoughts in a bubble and watch it float away. Same idea, but I feel like I like her version better for a metaphor because unlike with bubbles that are outside of you, you're inside the river and your thoughts are inside of you, and so you're part of the process, the flow, right? And so it doesn't separate you from the thoughts as much. I've always found, I don't know, I like it better, right?
Meditation it's always been a thorn in my spiritual side. Because in the beginning of the journey, you like for I think a lot of us like we feel like we're supposed to be these advanced meditators like right off the bat, and still I'm a ways into my journey now, and I don't meditate that often. When I do, I usually go in for an answer. I do, and I actually expanded on the lesson Kathy taught. And that is, I will go in with the intention of looking for something that I'm not able to do with all of the stimuli that I am constantly surrounding myself with and the doom scrolling. And so I will see that river, but then a fish will come with the thought that I need, right? Like inside of all of that current, there is something that comes down to me. I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you, sweet fish. And I will ponder on that, and then that will expand.
Like
Meditation
that.
is yeah, yeah. It was hard in the beginning because there's so many guided meditations out there and like opening your third eye and activations. And I'm like, it's so rough because it puts you in that place of self-judgment very early on about what meditation is supposed to be. Now I used to go into meditation to recharge. Now I just take a nap. I was like, oh, that's better. Go into meditation for different reasons. And it's mostly to look at things from a more still place, right? Taking out all of the outside influence. And when I need to recharge, I take a nap or do the tree meditation, which is a little bit different.
And this brings me to the next piece, which is why do we meditate, right? Clearly, you've turned your meditation into a divination process, which I think is really interesting. But why do we meditate? Why do all the spiritual teachers out there say meditate, right? And the reason, and I'm not a huge person to say go meditate, and that's not usually what I do. I'm more of a presence practice person, because presence and meditation are very different. Presence is about bringing all of your energy into the current moment and focusing yourself fully in the moment and being fully present to what's in front of you. Whereas meditation is about releasing all of your thoughts. They're two sides of the same coin, right? Meditation is about being with yourself to everything, right? And presence practice is about being with others and being with the world, right? So they're the exact same process, but two sides of the same coin, right? Very different implementation. But the reason that you do either of these practices is because it allows you to hone your focus. And we need to provide focus to anything we're trying to create in the world. And so if you cannot clear the cruft from your brain to be present with what you're doing in any given moment, you're going to have a very difficult time doing any energetic work. You're also going to have a very difficult time trying to figure out what you need in a spiritual practice, right? If you're doing personal growth work, or you're trying to understand what's going on, or really trying to be with what is in your space. Why am I upset? Why am I not upset? What's going on with me? Trying to figure that stuff out. You can't do that unless you're present. If your brain is going, I have to worry about 50 other things and 40 other people, and I don't know, and what's next, and what do people think of me, and blah, 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 right? All of that stuff is in the way of being able to be fully in the moment and being able to be focused on what you're choosing. And when you do that, it is literally a frittering of your energy. And when your energy is being frittered by multiple different concerns and anxiety and fear and worry and dread and whatever, right? Whenever you're dealing with all of that, then you don't have much energy left to actually do your energy work with, because you're fighting your own brain to get to the place where you can actually do the work. This is why every spiritual teacher out there is meditate or get presence practice or whatever, but because these are focus building exercises, wax on, wax off, right? Although that reference is probably out of date now, but
And what's hilarious about that is most of us aren't even doing that behind the scenes. Most like a lot of the spiritual teachers that I see talk about meditation and presence are some of the most, it's not a judgment because I'm one of them. We talk about it a lot, but how much time we actually spend in that space is, I think
I
it
want to
comes
be
in
clear
spurts.
about that, Josh, because you spent a very long time doing a freak ton of meditation earlier in your life.
Yeah, there was weeks I was in 60 hours of meditation.
This is what I'm saying. So you learn to meditate so that you can learn how to find that place of focus, right? I did a lot of meditation earlier in my life. I don't do much anymore because I know how to get to that space now, right? I do the meditation periodically. So I want to be clear that there's a reason why some of the teachers out there are not doing meditation every single day. It's because they've reached their 10,000 hours and they're like, okay, now I can just go there. So
I like that.
yeah.
You taught me this a while back, and I absolutely love this because I use it every morning. When I wake up, that's right when I go into meditation. Like that time when I wake up, I'm like
Me too.
15 to 20 minutes. That I'm like, this is the space. Because I'm already like, I'm not invested in the day yet. And I'm just like, what do I create today? Like, I just want to be calm. I just want peace. I want harmony. And then I just feel into that energy. And then I try to take that through the day with me. Which is interesting because I spent a little bit longer than that today, not knowing that we were doing the meditation episode. Because that's how it
Well,
works.
so this is the thing, is that is not technically meditation. That is sitting in liminal space and intention setting, right?
Mhm.
So when you're setting intentions, that's an active process. Meditation is not an active process. It's a letting go process, right? It's a stillness process. But liminal space is that space when you're in that theta wave energy, which we often are as we're coming out of sleep, or at least in beta wave at that point. We are in a space to be able to be in stillness and to set those intentions. That's the perfect thing to do at that time of day, but I wouldn't call it meditation. It feels meditative, but it's coming from a different place. So there's when we meditate. So I want to talk about falling asleep when you're meditating, okay? Because Kathy's teacher Ken had explained to her years ago that uh, what this process is when you quote unquote fall asleep during your meditation is that you have exceeded your sphere of assimilation. And you talked about your student she went to sleep after the sound healing. And then she woke up with her consciousness, with the change and the knowledge of what she needed to do. Sometimes our conscious minds won't accept what our meditation is bringing to us. And so we fall asleep so that our subconscious minds and our dream selves can integrate and accept what we've been handed. And then we wake up and that works on us, even though we're not conscious of it. And
So what I'm hearing is I've been a master meditator for a long time.
that's what I'm
Because I
saying.
fell asleep in the very beginning. I continue to do so. Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
but this is the thing. And if you are constantly falling asleep and you feel like you're getting nothing out of meditation, you may want to switch to presence practice instead, because that is done with your eyes open and fully aware and awake. And you're pulling your energy away from the past and away from the future. And you're just bringing yourself into the present moment and being fully present with what's in front of you. I like to do a presence practice with a plant, because that allows you to be able to feel the energy of the plant and connect with the energy of the plant. And as empaths, we love to do that. We love energy connections and to just be present with the plant. And if you're there and present long enough, you will actually begin to see the aura of the plant. It'll start to glow and you'll know you're fully in presence when that happens. That's another option for you. There's also people who are like, I can't sit still. Okay, do a walking meditation. That's okay.
One of the things, thank you for defining these terms a little bit more, because I think there may be a lot of people like me that when they stepped into this, they did a lot of guided meditations. That's not really a meditation by definition. It's more of like a shamanic journey to a
Yeah.
degree. I think my definition was really semi-warped and wrapped around my experience early on as to what meditation is actually considered, interestingly enough. We
Yeah.
learn things every day. That's why we do what we do.
And this is the thing, is that I think a lot of people have this expectation that meditation is supposed to be something that it isn't. And they think that they're supposed to master it and never have problems with it ever again. I go back into meditation every so often, and some days I can't get there. I'm just like, my brain is just too on. Maybe too much caffeine because I'm drinking the coffee. But my brain is just like, I got this and I got that. Because my brain it loves to run, right? My brain loves to think. I love to figure stuff out, right? And so if my brain is having a particularly excited day, it's just not going to go into meditation. It's nope. How about this? Hey, squirrel, right? And that's how most people start in their meditative process, and is that. And you still have days like that. I've hit that master stage as well, and I still have days where I'm like, nope, not going to get there. But meditation isn't about getting something or going somewhere or seeing something or divining something. Meditation is about being with yourself. It's about being present to who you are and what's true for you. And it's about giving yourself some space to not have to do or be anything else. And so it's literally a releasing of everything else around you and being in stillness and quietness with your spirit, right? Not with your day to day thoughts, not with your mind. You're being in presence with your spirit, right? And your mind is going to be like, dip, dip, because that's the neuronal pathway that is really active, right? But it is about being with yourself and with your spirit. And when you give yourself that space, because a lot of us will not give ourselves the space because we don't want to know that we're unhappy. Because on some level, we know that we're unhappy. And we're just like, if I get quiet, I'm going to know how unhappy I am. Then I might have to do something about it. And so a lot of times people won't do meditation because they don't want to go there, because it's like the tolerations. If you think about the things that you're tolerating, if you make a list of all the things that you're tolerating, if you look at them, we only experience them one at a time usually. But if you make a list of everything you're tolerating, you're going to be like, shit, that's a lot. And then you'll be like, I got to do something about that. And most people don't want to do anything about it. They don't want to change anything. It's just too hard. They're too tired. They're too whatever. But the act of changing it is the act of making yourself happier. And this isn't, and I want to say clearly, this isn't a go looking for your tolerations thing. It's not, right? It is a being with your spirit and asking yourself, how am I? Right? But not even, I mean, you're not asking a question. It's just tuning into yourself, because asking the question is a mental thing. And that puts you back up in your head, right? This is a being thing. And this is why it's so hard for people to do meditation in the beginning, because in spiritual practice, we typically start from the masculine energy, which is release, release, strip away. And it's very much an understanding and a head-based process. We don't get into the beingness process until we get a little further into our journey. And that's when we do the feminine side of being with what is, right? Accepting and receiving whatever it is until we become everything, right? And we accept and receive without judgment, right? But that is a beingness state. The feminine is great mystery, right? The masculine is great spirit and the feminine is great mystery. And in the great mystery state, it's the darkness, right? You can't see the mystery, right? The mystery is just the mystery. And people go in looking for the light switch because they got their brain on. So let me see what the mystery is. No, that's not how this works. You have to experience the mystery, right? And meditation is experiencing yourself as the mystery, right? There's not a thought process associated with it. It's a beingness state where you're tuning into yourself and you're being with what is inside of you and not judging it, not thinking about it, not doing anything about it, just being with it. It is a beingness state. And that's why it's so hard for people who are in the beginning, because that's typically when you're all up in your head. You're doing the masculine path in the beginning. And so this is what makes meditation so helpful, because it pole vaults you into some of that feminine work, but it's also what makes it so hard. So this is why we call it a practice, right? Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's a great way to end it. I think you once again have said it just as it was meant to be said.
Okay. So then we will complete that there. Don't forget to subscribe and share. And remember, what you focus on is what expands. What you intend is what you create. So choose wisely.